Hey everyone, and thanks for joining another episode of Tabs. We're talking about business strategy. And today I have Kyle along with me, and he's a professional photographer. So I brought him along to talk about professional photography for business, headshots, and just general business photography. So Kyle, if you want to get started, maybe just explain who you are and what you do.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for having me on, James. I'm Kyle Wege. I'm owner and photographer of Crimson Sun Studios. I specialize in architectural photography, portrait photography, drone photography, and time lapse. So through those couple of mediums, I've worked to build this company and provide people with, high-end professional photography that they can use to aid in their marketing.
Cool, thanks. So the big question that I have off the bat is, do you need a professional headshot? So I've, back when I was working at PutterKeg, a web design company, it came up pretty often of we have a team page, we have a leadership page. How should we handle professional headshots? Should people go out on their own? Should we throw someone against a wall and take an iPhone picture? So I guess in your professional opinion, how should people approach headshots for business?
Sure. Yeah, and this is really dependent on the business and the brand, right? However you're looking to present yourself to the world is kind of where you should start in consideration for professional headshots. A lot of the companies that I work with appreciate having similar branding on their website, on their marketing materials, on LinkedIn. They like to have their employees present themselves in a similar branded light for their company. So that means that we are shooting the same kinds of things all the time. So it's always on the same backdrop, or it's always in the same location. We do similar lighting. So that way, if things change, or if people and employees change, new people come in, we're always doing the same thing. It's always on brand. Some companies prefer to have more of like a relaxed style, and they don't want to seem stuffy or too professional, I suppose. So in those cases, they might do their own photos, or they might let their people go out and get photos from who they want, or just take a cell phone picture or something like that. Cell phones can do a lot these days, and honestly, photography is more about the light than the gear that you're using, which is maybe why you would hire a professional, because you don't want to take the time to figure it out. You don't want to have to look up questions on what should I wear, what kind of setting do I need, what's the best lighting for me to do this. The reason you work with any kind of a professional is to just get their opinion and their expertise on executing a certain strategy that maybe you're not the best at. So those are some of the factors to consider when you're doing professional headshots. If you're maybe a solopreneur or somebody like that, and you're just considering maybe, is it a good idea or is it not? It probably is, right? And it's not the worst thing to have, like, I see plenty of people's headshots on LinkedIn where it's them from a wedding. It was a nice shot taken,
Yes.
and it wasn't, for their headshot or something like that, but you look nice, and it's the way to present yourself. You just got to think, this is how people might meet me for the first time. And what do I want to come across as? Everybody's seeing each other first online, unless if you're meeting at networking and then you connect. But a lot of people are very intentional about how they build their network and who they want to be introduced to, and how they're trying to make connections for their business. And so LinkedIn obviously is one of the best spots to do that. And people are always looking at your profile first. So to have some kind of picture that you at least feel good about, that you look confident in, you put off the energy that you want people to know. And sometimes people don't like to smile. Other people really are big smilers.
Right.
All of that kind of stuff is to take into consideration on how you exude yourself to those out in the world.
Yeah, that makes sense. And you mentioned the wedding thing. That's funny because I feel like the number of times I go to LinkedIn and see like a sales rep and it's like a wedding photo, like clearly cropped, maybe have a drink in their hand, or it's like, pixelated because it was like a 10-year-old photo, that kind of thing too. Like it's like, if that's how you want to portray yourself, that's how you want to portray yourself. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of out there. When you're working with businesses for their headshots, what are the considerations? You kind of mentioned like brand image and look and feel, because that was one thing too at previous companies I've worked with, that they don't seem to have a standard for their headshots, because like some employees will look very professional and some won't. Is that something you work with your clients on and trying to understand like what is the overall look and feel you're looking for? Is it more laid back, more professional? Is that part of like just the general framing you do with your shots, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's usually part of the intro conversation that I'll have with clients. And this happens more so when I'm being brought in to do like a photos for a whole team, right? It's not necessarily the case if it's just one individual getting a headshot. We'll still do the discussion and that kind of thing. And I'll bring up what what their end goals are, who they're trying to connect with, what the the clientele is that they want to connect with. But if I'm working with a company that's bringing me in to do headshots for their team, we'll definitely discuss, what is their brand and what is their style and how do they sell and how do they connect with their customers. And I can offer some suggestions on, like maybe we should do an environmental shot. Maybe if this is, a business that's nationwide, but you're located here in Madison, maybe we should do some environmental stuff with some landmarks that say Madison, and obviously most headshots are either squares or vertical, but you can also do horizontal headshots that show more environmental stuff. And then those images can be used even to include like graphics and stuff like that. That alone could be a business card with information on the side. So there's just a lot of different things that you can do, and all of that gets presented up front in terms of clothing options, coloring of the backdrops, your location, lighting style. How do you want to look? Sometimes, it might be a dark backdrop with like a high key light that's just on a face that makes it really keyed in. Some people want high key white in the back, so that way it can be used along different marketing materials. All that stuff is maybe considerations that people wouldn't have, that I try to present at the very beginning. And probably most photographers do that too.
Cool, that helps. And I guess kind of a follow-up to that too. How do you recommend businesses work with like the coming and going of new employees? Because that's a question that came up pretty often with clients of mine in the past of they want to get professional photos done, but after 2 or 3 years, as you bring new leadership on or some changes, do you recommend they come back to a studio to get those taken to have that same look and feel, or what's the process for that?
Yeah, that can be tough. Employee turnover, that's an issue everybody faces. I would say that if you are looking to have your employees photographed and presented, if that's a value to you and if that is like a branding element to you, you should do it pretty quick, right? Especially if you've got employees coming in who are excited to work there and they're hoping that it's going to be a long-term thing. Providing a headshot for them is kind of the company putting some investment into them. So they might feel good about that, saying like, hey, these people want me to be here for a while. They're already setting up a headshot for me. Like, this is a good start. Um, yeah, I think for people who are leaving, it can be tough, right? Sometimes it feels like, oh, we wasted money on that, or, people are moving into new positions. For a lot of the clients that I've had over the past years, who we do the same things on, I can go to their location and set up even a backdrop, a studio setup in a small conference room or anything. And we can keep the look and the feel exactly the same. So I've had companies move from building to building, and that hasn't affected our ability to shoot the same style of headshots or portraits. It's made it really easy because, a lot of these companies have new leadership now than they did 2 or 3 years ago. Folks maybe, have cut their hair, their look has changed. Obviously, you want to always be presenting yourself, who you are right now, to the world. It'd be a little confusing if you had a headshot from 10 years ago and somebody meets you now and your hair is a different color, or it'd be like me not having a beard anymore and then not doing a new headshot without a beard. Somebody wouldn't even know who I was. So getting updated shots, I think, is important, and a business investing into that for their team, I think, shows just a level of investment into their team and kind of keeps people together. I think is a good thing.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I think and I'm kind of a bias because I'm from the sales and the external facing world of companies. But I know for us, it was kind of fun, like when a new sales rep joined, like taking them to the studio, getting pictures taken. Like, like you said, it shows that you care about them and you want them on your website. You want them out there, representing your company versus just another cog in the machine. And, I don't actually care about you being a face of the brand out there and stuff too. So I think that's a really good point. The other question I was going to ask too is, what other ways should businesses think about using professional photography? Because I know in the past we also done like interior shots for offices, for websites, and for marketing material. But what other ways are you seeing your clients using professional photography for their business in general, as well as like in marketing and sales too?
Sure. Yeah, this is a really, really broad question, and I'm appreciative that you asked it. I have a lot of clients who are in the architectural and construction realm. So a lot of what I'm doing for them is capturing finished project work or even projects in progress so they can show how things are going. All that goes back to getting new investments, getting new clients. I mean, for architecture in particular, they can't bring their clients on location for all the different jobs and projects that they finish. So photos and videos of those things are incredibly valuable in their marketing. For other folks, I've got some proposals out right now for just website developments and shooting some lifestyle work and other things like that. I think that is really valuable, and we're seeing more and more now. Um, you know, the want of authenticity. Like if you go to a website and it's all stock images and you can't get an idea of like who this company is, like for me personally, and I'm biased, I suppose, like I just don't trust it as much, right? You go to my website and guess what? Like my face is on the pages. Like you're going to see my work, and the clients who I work with, they're doing the same thing. Like the banner images is maybe of their building, an exterior, or it's a team photo of the whole company, or it's the products that they actually make, or it's their people putting the stuff together, or it's their employees providing the service that they actually give to their customers. I think all of that kind of stuff, having the actual framework of what your business does and having that in your marketing and online and just present it out to the world is the best possible case for how you can actually connect with your customers. And it doesn't always have to be professional. I honestly think I'd rather see a cell phone video than just like some stock video of a flag just waving in the wind or something. Like that's interesting, but show me your building. Show me somebody who's talking that's from your company. Show me your employees working hard at their actual desk, not some group of a diversified, whoever from New York. That's a stock photo that's across 1,000 other websites. Like it doesn't make you unique, and it doesn't make people more interested to call you. Right. You want to have that kind of first line of interest from like, oh, who are these people? Like, what's happening? This looks like people that I would actually want to work with. Like when I go to the office, like, hey, I just saw that person. Like you were on the website. Like now I see you here in person. So I think all of those things can be really valuable within marketing. And, the trend to move away from stock has just been growing stronger and stronger as more people see that it's not really changing their brand for what they want. It's not really guiding them in the direction that they want.
Yeah.
And more, it's just authentic storytelling. Like how can you share who you really are and what your business is and how you help folks?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I think, just like you said, for the sales and marketing side, I think having authentic photos of your staff in your office doing things is really good because it helps build that trust. And you get it's real people. I know who I'm working with. I see them on LinkedIn. I see them on their team page. Now I see them like actually in the office doing work. But also recruiting is a huge thing too. I think, on your career section page, having like your actual employees and like again builds that trust versus like you said, the stock photos. It's like who am I going to be working with? And with how tight some hiring markets are right now, still like it's one of those things where even the smallest little differentiators on your careers page, I think makes a difference too.
Yeah,
Um,
agreed.
so I guess the last big question is how should companies hire a photographer? I realize you're a photographer, so you're a little biased in the process and stuff too. But from your expert opinion, what things should people be looking for when hiring a photographer? What questions should they be asking? I guess how do you recommend they get started in the process?
Yeah, definitely. If you're looking to do some professional photography, there's a couple of different routes you can go. Obviously, if you've got a marketing department or some people who are focused on that effort within your company, rely on them. They'll be the ones who know for sure what you need. They'll kind of have an idea already of what it takes to do high-end creative assets for marketing. So yeah, lean on them real strong. Trust their intuitions and give them the power to actually do what they need to do to find the right person. Sometimes budgetary issues can move you from one photographer you really like to somebody else who's maybe not the right fit, but they're cheaper. Or it might be like you've got a good relationship with somebody and you want to keep working with them. There's lots of considerations. First and foremost, I would say start by looking at their portfolio. You want to make sure that the work that they create is what you're going to hire for. Don't hire somebody whose work you don't love, but you think, hey, maybe they can do something for us, and then try to tell them or dictate exactly what to do. I mean, obviously, it's a collaborative process, and that is the whole medium of commercial photography is me as a creator delivering you what you need. But I have a certain style of creating. I have a certain eye for composition. I have a certain style of editing that my pictures are going to look different than a different photographer's. So consider different options. I mean, every market has plenty of professionals that you could choose from. Just do some searching online. You can always ask photographers to bid on a project. I get that all the time. It's 2 or 3 photographers who are putting in a proposal with different aspects and details for the shoot, some examples on how they would execute the shoot, and some licensing terms on what to expect for the usage behind the photos. So that's a good place to start. From there, you'll kind of maybe have a conversation with each photographer, and just get to know who they are, because you're going to be working with these people on production. If it's going to be anything like, a full day shoot, if you're doing lifestyle stuff, or if you're doing architecture, you maybe are going to be traveling with these people to a couple of different places. Like, you want to work with people you like, so just make sure that there's some kind of connection there, and there's a right fit for everybody. That every client's going to be able to find some photographer that they really enjoy working with, and not every photographer is going to be right for every company. So it's really just kind of like when you hire an employee, you want to make sure you got somebody who's good within the business, going to kind of work within your culture. I would say it's the same for contractors. If you're going to hire somebody to create digital assets for you, you want to make sure that you like that person, and that they kind of connect with who you are and your end goals, and that they can deliver on that.
Cool. Those are awesome tips. So it was super helpful today. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your knowledge. Where should people find you, or what kind of next steps should they take with you?
Yeah, you can check out my work at crimsonsunstudios.com. There's a lot there to look at. If you're interested in any kind of photography, whether it's architecture, drone, or headshots, or anything like that, feel free to reach out. You can just email me at contact@crimsonsunstudios.com, or connect with me on LinkedIn, on Instagram. I'm on both of those platforms pretty often. So I'd love to talk with anybody, and I'm always happy to offer expertise. If you've just got questions, or if you're not have a budget and you just want to try to do some stuff in-house, I'm more than happy to offer some tips that maybe will help you do that.
Awesome. Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Thanks, James.